France accuses the Houthi militia of undermining regional and international peace efforts. Cuts in international aid deepens Yemen's food security and threatens to push millions into starvation. International Organization of Migration calls to end human trafficking in the Horn of Africa and Yemen. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Roshan Fouad. France accused the Houthi militia of blocking peace efforts in Yemen. The French Foreign Ministry indicated that the European Union and France do not recognize the Houthi militia, as the group shows no respect to basic rights in the areas under its control, especially rights of women and minorities. France reiterated its support to efforts of the United Nations to reach a political settlement to the crisis. United Nations Secretary General appointed Jasser El-Jahid, an Egyptian, to be member in the panel of experts on Yemen. The panel provided essential support to the Sanctions Committee, which comprises Security Council members. The committee was established to Security Council resolution issued in 2014 and is responsible for monitoring the implementation of the sanctions measures. Yemen's 9-year-long war has decimated the economy, resulting in millions becoming food insecure. More than 17 million Yemenis are food insecure, and 51% of young children and 24% of women are in need of treatment for acute malnutrition. This report has more details.
The United Nations has warned of the consequences of increased food insecurity in Yemen's liberated areas, as economic experts express concern about new risks after Russia suspended the Black Sea grain deal. Most of Yemen's governorates are experiencing a significant rise in food commodity prices and a deterioration in local currency. The World Food Programme (WFP) reported that June food prices in Aden and liberated areas increased 26% on average, with fuel prices recording a significant increase. The Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) expected the food security situation to deteriorate until early September, just before harvest, due to seasonality and food prices, limited income access, flood, reduced humanitarian food assistance, and ongoing conflict in frontline districts. The persistent impact on the war in Ukraine would likely aggravate the food insecurity situation further due to severe wheat flour shortages and skyrocketing bread prices in response to reduced import flows, following Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative. The WFP announced a 35% reduction in food aid in Yemen, warning that 6 million people are in emergency phase of food insecurity. The Australian government has provided a $2.68 million contribution to support affected families. The situation in Yemen is worsening due to the ongoing war and lack of funding. The drop in funding depends on factors such as the rising global need, a lack of transparency, climate change, and high gas prices in Europe. The government has previously warned of a food crisis, and aid was supposed to be directed towards agriculture and fish to alleviate the suffering of Yemenis. The authorities have relied on the coalition to support legitimacy in helping Yemen in such a situation.
The Safer Company for Yemeni Exploration warned against dealing with any party impersonating the representative of the Yemeni oil company. The company said that the headquarters appointed by the Yemeni government is located in Ma'rib Governorate, and it has no any other branches or representatives. The statement warned all official and unofficial parties at home and abroad against dealing with any party or entity impersonating the Safer representative.
It's been a very good day today. Now we can move forward with our plan to offload the oil off the FSO Safer. By the end of this week, we should be able to start seeing the first oil being pumped into this vessel to secure it for the first time in 8 years and no longer represent a threat.
The International Organization of Migration warned against human trafficking, targeting those in the Horn of Africa and Yemen. Human trafficking in this region takes several forms, with the most common being trafficking for forced labor, as well as trafficking for sexual exploitation. More on this story is within this report.
The International Organization for Migration (IOM) has called for coordinated efforts to end trafficking in persons from the Horn of Africa to Yemen and the Gulf states. The IOM urges governments, law enforcement, public services, and civil society to strengthen prevention, identity, and support victims and survivors and end impunity. The IOM states that women and girls remain the most vulnerable group, accounting for 70% of trafficking victims. The agency also calls for increased funding to provide life-saving assistance and protection for victims of trafficking from the Horn of Africa. Thousands of migrants leave Horn of Africa countries, mainly Ethiopia and Somalia, and move along the eastern route towards the Gulf states to find work and job opportunities. Many migrants make the dangerous crossing from Djibouti's coastal town of Obak to Yemen and Yemen's borders with Saudi Arabia, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates. Climate change has driven many migrants from their homes, and they are subjected to forced labor, sexual exploitation, and other forms of exploitation such as forced marriage. The IOM has supported around 300,000 vulnerable migrants with humanitarian assistance in Yemen, Somalia, and Djibouti in 2023, and helped over 3,895 stranded migrants and victims of trafficking safely return to their home countries. However, resources are needed to further assist and protect migrants from traffickers and exploitation. In February, the IOM launched an appeal for 84 million US dollars to respond to the need of 1 million migrants and the communities hosting them on the eastern route, including trafficked persons.
The head of the Consultation and Reconciliation Committee met with the ambassador of the European Union to Yemen. The presidency of the Commission renewed the government's position in support of peace and indicated the danger of the continued intransigence of the Houthi militia, its military escalation, and its rejection of peace opportunities. The Houthi militia threatened to burn the homes of dozens of families in a Dola governorate. Yemen Today reporter stated that the militia accused those persons of treason and collusion, and that they serve the government forces. Among those wanted by the militia are 4 employees in the education corps and 2 imams, while the rest are farmers. The Houthi militia dismissed 30 employees of Amran Comment Factory after they refused to attend sectarian courses. Local sources said that the new director of the factory issued a decision to dismiss 30 employees of the factory as they refused to participate in the so-called cultural courses. The sources confirmed that the director of the new factory replaced the dismissed members with other 30 people of its affiliates. Yemen is one of the world's most water-scarce countries, and the 9-year conflict has compounded the water shortage, especially in Sana'a and other Houthi-controlled areas. The following report has more details.
Thousands of families in Sana'a and other cities suffer from an acute shortage of drinking water due to the continued disconnection from the General Water Corporation and the high prices of water tankers transported into homes. Many residents of Sana'a report that government water has been cut off from their homes for months, and some even for years. Many claim that their livelihood has been jeopardized by the ongoing scarcity of water, whether sourced from the official project, donated, or delivered in tankers, the cost of which has more than doubled. Water scarcity still constitutes a real threat to the lives of millions across 26 districts of the capital Sana'a and its countryside amid severe droughts. The price of a water tank is currently between 12,000 and 15,000 Yemeni riyals. Officials at the Water Corporation in Sana'a attribute the crisis to the deterioration of the 30-year-old current network, the lack of periodic maintenance and fuel, and the drop in the water levels of wells as a result of random drilling. 105,000 people are currently subscribed to the water network in Sana'a, or less than a quarter of the capital's population. Officials at the Houthi-controlled Water Corporation confirmed that the corporation has 75 generators that operate 68 out of 100 wells to pump more than 1 million cubic meters of water every month. The availability of safe drinking water is a daily struggle for millions of Yemenis, according to international reports, which list Yemen as one of the 4 countries with the poorest water resources and estimate that 4.5 million Yemeni children live in homes with rudimentary water systems. The International Organization for Migration earlier stated that 15 million Yemenis will require water and sanitation assistance in 2023, while the World Bank cautioned that the availability of drinking water would be Yemen's most pressing issue in the coming years.
Coming next. Coffee houses spread in the war-torn capital Sana'a, serving Yemeni special coffee.
أبي مات في شارع 40 دحين أنا أشقى على أسرتي مع باقي اللي أنا أصرف عليهم كل شيء. أنا اسمي أنس غصيب سيف، عمري 12 سنة. أنا أشتغل بورشة حديد من الساعة 7 للساعة 6. أحيانا أسرع، أحيانا أقص، أحيانا أرنق، أحيانا أنقش، أي حاجة أنا أعمل. لا الساعة لما تدين الساعة 6 أوقف. أنا وقفت الدراسة عشان ما في أحد يشقى على أسرتي، أدرس إخواني الباقي من لون 4 وأنا 5. أحلم إن أفتح ورشة أبي وأشقى على أسرتي وأمدي لهم مصاري وأدرس إخوتي الآخر الجامعات وأطبخوا أي شيء.
Welcome back. Ma'rib topped the list of Yemeni governorates with the largest numbers of displaced people. According to a recent report by the International Organization for Migration, the governorate of Ma'rib witnessed the displacement of a total of 500 families between April and June.
بالثياب نشطط يعني الثياب نروح عن القرى نحوس وهذا نروح بثياب ونصلحها مقاولنا وكراتين الشوارع. والله ان احنا نكره المطر، يخسع لنا البطانية، يخسع الفراش، يخسع القماش، مسمر برادة، خاسعين احنا وجهالنا.
فالمأوى الانتقالي هذا الكنتيرة جعلتهم يعيشوا في استقرار للمستفيدين من ناحية سواء من ناحية الأمطار أو من ناحية العواصف والرياح والرملية، بما أنه عندنا هنا في مأرب الرياح بتكون شديدة.
The conflict has devastated Yemen and Hodeidah has not been spared. Despite Hodeidah's importance, it has suffered from a significant decline in healthcare services due to the limited number of functioning health facilities. This left main hospitals like the one in Hais district threatened by disease and epidemics, as they simply could not cope with the demand. The following report has more details.
Dozens of families visit Hais Rural Hospital in Hodeidah to save their children from fevers and diarrhea, which have spread widely in the area. The district's health office has responded to these epidemics by urging relevant authorities to supply the necessary remedies to combat this outbreak.
نستقبل حالات كثيرة في المستشفى طبعا وفي العيادات الخارجية.
We receive numerous patients in the hospital and in external clinics. The number of cases has increased dramatically this summer season, and we are left with a shortage of supplies. We call upon relevant authorities and the health office to provide emergency relief.
The government facility has become a lifeline for illness-ridden families. However, due to the severe medication scarcity at the hospital, the pain they experience is magnified. Many citizens cannot afford the high cost of treatment.
المواطن عن حالته ضعيفة
Although we had a prescription, the pharmacist informed us that they were out of medication. We were able to get the medicine elsewhere, but at a greater price. We hope supporting organizations will be able to provide the hospital with medicine. Many people cannot afford expensive medical care.
Although the hospital provides tangible relief to some patients, a noticeable deterioration in services has left many uncured. Notably, the hospital lab is facing a shortage in IV drip solutions, which has made it difficult to treat many patients.
لدينا أجهزة حديثة ولدينا بعض الجهاز CBC وجهاز.
We have many advanced technologies, but we lack IV drip solutions. Many children suffer from severe diarrhea, while older people face kidney problems.
According to a health source, Heist Rural Hospital receives more than 200 patients every day, with half of these cases plagued with fevers such as malaria or diarrhea, which the hospital is unable to cure.
Coffee houses have spread in the war-hit capital Sana'a. Those coffee houses serve the famous Yemeni coffee and, more importantly, have become social outlets for citizens who have been crushed by years of the conflict. This report has more details.
Tucked amid shell-pocked buildings and roadside tributes to fallen fighters, a less obvious byproduct of wartime is spreading across Yemen's capital. Specialty coffee houses serving steaming cups of top-rated pour-over. The Arabian Peninsula's most impoverished country locked in an 8-year conflict between the Houthi rebels and forces supporting the internationally recognized government and has deep ties to coffee.
Our ancestor discovered this amazing seeds and turned it to a magical drink. And now there is like 2.5 billion cup of coffee consumed every day.
Legend has it that Sufi mystics on Yemen's western coast were the first people to brew coffee beans back in the 15th century, yet Yemeni entrepreneurs have until recently focused on exporting their best product to wealthy overseas markets. For other Yemenis, however, blocked ports and related restrictions imposed during the war have inspired them to turn onward, giving rise to a cafe scene that today brings flashes of Brooklyn and Paris to Sana'a's war-scared streets. People started to feel like Yemeni coffee was costing, and they lost interest in buying it. In response, the owner of a specialty opened a cozy shop in central Sana'a, where customers can sample beans from all over the country, surrounded by Yemeni art and Yemeni-made wood furniture. It was the culmination of a long personal journey with coffee that began when he and his Japanese wife founded a cafe in Tokyo more than a decade ago. After the marriage ended, Ahmed also turned his attention to exporting, but wartime hurdles and a travel ban against Yemenis introduced by former U.S. President Donald Trump spurred him to consider opportunities in his home country. Back home, meanwhile, entrepreneurs are bullish on local consumption, especially if a durable ceasefire were to take hold and improve the economy.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. France accuses the Houthi militia of undermining regional and international peace efforts. Cuts in international aid deepens Yemen's food security and threatens to push millions into starvation. International Organization of Migration calls to end human trafficking in the Horn of Africa and Yemen. This is the end of the news. It was Roshan Fouad. Thank you for watching.